Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters temporary studio. Welcome to the show. So the leaks apparently continue. This might be the leakiest spoiler season we have seen in quite some time. I mean, maybe ever. Although Kamigawa last year had a ton regardless. Maybe it's just this time of year apparently. Regardless, Thrun apparently is back with Thrun, Breaker of Silence. Now I will say again, I do not believe that this one has actually been officially confirmed to be a spoiler, but it looks incredibly legitimate. And actually, here's the MTG.design version of it, because, yeah, just a bit easier to read instead of a slightly grainy photo. Regardless, Thrun, yeah, is back, potentially. A 5/5 Troll Shaman that costs 3 green. It can't be countered. It has Trample. It also can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. And on top of that, as long as it's your turn, Thrun is indestructible. So, yeah, this can be really, really hard to deal with. I mean, it is Thrun, of course. Thrun is just already hard to deal with. But first up, okay, not being able to be countered. That's, well, you know what? A green player's dream, essentially. Hey, you know what? I'm just going to do big green things. And blue player over there, sorry about you. Also, blue player over there, your blue spells will not be able to target my Thrun or your abilities as well. Wizards really, I mean, they definitely have gone pretty much completely away from hexproof at this point, and they utilize ward a lot to kind of fill that gap. This is a slightly different version kind of that, where it's basically hexproof but slightly watered down. It's like, okay, hexproof minus, yeah, you can target it with green cards, essentially green abilities. So there really aren't too many ways. I mean, there are a decent amount of ways. I mean, if you really have a deck that focuses maybe on fight, sure. But when it comes to actually, green removal spells for creatures, yeah, like Beast Within, that's one of them. There aren't all that many, essentially, that, specifically green is not the best at taking out creatures. So yeah, Thrun is probably going to be safe from a lot of your opponent's stuff, and we can talk about some things here in a bit to make it even more safe in ways that you can really protect Thrun and ways to make it into an absolute monster. And speaking of it being a monster, yeah, during your turn, also indestructible. That protects it from, well, I mean, obviously getting taken out most likely in combat with your opponents. So yeah, you can be very aggressive with this. On top of that, of course, you can play with some ways. There aren't too many, creature, board wipes in green, but there are, of course, ways to take out a lot of creatures, and we'll talk about one here in a bit. But yeah, you can play with that essentially and say, you know what, let's just destroy everything else with Thrun. You're staying here. So yeah, this commander I think has a lot of potential, especially for a Voltron style strategy. It does have the potential in 99 as well as a good beater too, especially with power matters kinds of decks as well. And yeah, again, I will reiterate as I go through the cards on this episode, which there's going to be a card list link in the description below. If you are interested in those cards, make sure you check that out. But yeah, I'll also kind of, again, say this one has not been officially confirmed that I have seen. So yeah, take everything I say with a grain of salt, but it does seem to be pretty legitimate. And pretty much all the other spoilers or leaks that, have come out in this season, have basically been confirmed to be real. So I would pretty much say that, yeah, we are heading in the right direction with this one being a brand new Thrun as well. Speaking of which, let's just quickly see how this compares to the old Thrun, which came out all the way back in the original Phyrexia block. Thrun the Last Troll, 4/4 Troll Shaman. That costs 2 green. Also can't be countered. Can't be the target spell's ability your opponent's control, and you can pay 1 and a green to regenerate Thrun. Now, obviously, there are some similarities, with the 2 green pips. This one costs slightly less. Also can't be countered. It is slightly smaller. And this one just straight up has hexproof. So again, I like I said earlier, Wizards is moving away from hexproof, replacing with ward, and also with, hey, non-green sources or those kind of things too. So just slightly worse for the new Thrun that doesn't have complete hexproof, but still very effective. This one also can regenerate, which you can do on your opponent's turn, so you do have to have mana up for it. Regeneration is not, in many ways, as good as indestructible. So yeah, I mean, you definitely have a benefit on your turn specifically for the new Thrun compared to this old one. Now, when it comes to cards to consider for the new Thrun, if you are planning on building a deck around it, and again, if it is a real card, let's talk about some cards that are within my budget buys. Again, cards are less than $1, and some fantastic ones are Blanchwood Armor, Hydra's Growth, and Raised by Giants. Again, your Thrun has trample, which means, yeah, you are going to have a way to actually get that damage through. So you can just focus on getting a ton of power onto Thrun and pushing that damage through, getting to that, 21 commander damage quite quickly with, a card like Blanchwood Armor, +1 for each force you control. Here's the thing. You are in the one color that is extremely effective at getting lands into play. And of course, since you're in a monocolor deck, get a ton of force into play. And yeah, just absolutely make your Thrun into an unstoppable monster. I mean, making it into a 2-shot KO is quite easy. I mean, just 6 lands needed essentially, and making it into a 1-shot KO is definitely possible as well. Hydra's Growth can help with that. Enchant creature, when it comes in the battlefield, +1 counter on the enchanted creature. At the beginning of your up, keep you double the number of counters on enchanted creature. Of course, you're going to probably other ways to get counters on it. So yeah, doubling up your counters, if you just keep doing that again and again and again, it can get quite ridiculous. Raids by Giants, another way to help your Thrun be even more ridiculous. Commander creatures you own have base power and toughness 10/10 or Giants and other types. Basically, again, hey, just a straight up +5/+5 for your commander throughout the game. Just raising that base power and base toughness, and just, adding all these other effects on top of that can make your Thrun into a monster. And of course, aside from, auras and enchantments, we also have some equipment that can really help out our commander. And yeah, you can definitely focus on one or the other, or a combination of both. Belt of Giant Strength, though, is another great card, and one that is very similar to, well, Raised by Giants. Equipped creature has base power and toughness 10/10. So either of those is going to work very effectively with this. It does cost equip 10, but yeah, that's going to cost X less to activate Rex, the power of the creature it targets. So yeah, originally, just with Thrun being a 5/5, it's only going to cost 5 to actually, equip that. And of course, with any kind of other pop effects, that's going to reduce it. Usually with this kind of a deck, you can get it pretty quickly down to, just 0, essentially. Blackblade Reforged is a great way to help with that. Equipped creature gets +1 for each land you control. So this one kind of takes a step further, on top of, Blanchwood Armor, basically, hey, not just our forests, in case we're running any non-basics, it's going to count every single one of our lands and just cost 3 to equip to a legendary creature like Thrun. We also have an equipment that can help us out, not with power, but by utilizing that power to help us, well, with a massive play. Tanuki Transplanter, it has reconfigure so you can attach it to Thrun. Whenever it or equipped creature attacks, add an amount of green equal to its power until it turns all this mana steps in phase end. Again, when you turn Thrun into that absolutely just unstoppable force, it's going to have a ton of power. You swing, you get an absurd amount of mana. You make Thrun even more absurd with a big play like that. Moving on, another thing to consider is a card like Sanctuary Blade, another great equipment for this new commander. It becomes attached to a creature, choose a color. The equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has protection from the last chosen color. Now, you do have to be careful with this, okay? By choosing green, you are basically making it so that Thrun, well, again, has hexproof from everything but green, then has protection from green, so your opponents really aren't going to have ways to, basically target it. Though, do keep in mind, again, if you do have a lot of auras in the deck, or again, a lot of equipment that do have green as a color, then you're not going to be able to attach them to Thrun, and everything that is attached will fall off. So be careful with that. Obviously, though, if you're running, like a full equipment deck with Thrun and you don't have many of those green equipment, this can be a great consideration to just say, yeah, let's just kind of shore things up and make sure that you can't target Thrun at all. And also, if another player is playing green, which there's a good chance, they're not going to be able to block Thrun with your green creatures as well, so it can help get through. Another thing to consider are going to be cards like Inscription of Abundance. Now, this one's a very flexible card, but I'll talk about the piece that I really mean on this one. You basically can kick it and get all of them, essentially. Get 2 counters on target creature, gain a lot of life based on the number of greatest power, that your creatures control, and the target creature control fights our creature you don't control. So all these, of course, can be very impactful. But, again, when it comes to Thrun, you can really utilize that indestructibility with that last one. Thrun, again, is going to have a lot of power, and your opponent might have a creature that has a lot of power as well, or maybe it's got a creature that might have Death Touch. But by fighting it on your turn, again, Thrun will have indestructible, and it's going to be protected from that, and you can utilize Thrun and fighting effects to take out your opponent's creatures very effectively. And also, again, the extra utility on this card definitely helps as well. Nevinyrral's Disc, another kind of card to consider. Enters the battlefield tapped, pay 1 tap to artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Now, obviously, this is kind of like a panic button, but it is one that, again, you can take advantage of with Thrun's indestructibility. Yeah, the board's not looking so good. Well, let's get rid of everything, but since I'm doing this on my turn, we're going to keep Thrun in play thanks to it being indestructible. But now let's quickly go over some pricier picks to consider, and yeah, there are a lot of great ones, including Bone Sabers, a new card from Warhammer 40k. Equipped creature attacks, you get 4 counters on it. Yeah, this can really play well into a lot of other cards as well. I mean, obviously, just by attacking, you make Thrun more and more unstoppable and get more and more damage through. But also, yeah, again, with a combination with a card like, Hydra's Growth or other ones that can double up your counters, you can very easily turn Thrun into a 2-shot, and then very easily from there go into a 1-shot KO. Speaking of which, Staff of Titania. Equipped creature gets +X/+X for X number of force you control. So kind of like Blanchwood Armor, but on an equipment, and even better because whenever equipped creature attacks, you get a 1/1 green Force Ride land creature token. So yeah, that does count as a force. So you're basically going to keep attacking, growing your commander, and also growing your mana base as well. Speaking of which, for the Animus, +1/+1, whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your life for a basic land, put it in the battlefield tapped. Yeah, that can help, again, ramp you, as well as, again, benefit cards like Staff of Titania and any other, number of force cards that you might have. Again, if you are going to lean more heavily into enchantments, definitely consider some Enchantress effects, as well as maybe some fantastic auras like Ancestral Mask and Eldrazi Conscription. Ancestral Mask, +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield for that equipped creature. That can be an absurd amount, and I just made a mistake with their enchanted creature. You know what I mean? Let's continue. Eldrazi Conscription. This already is just a basically massive way to pump Thrun, +10/+10. Trample, we already have the trample, so that's fine. But Annihilator 2, so even deadlier on attack. Whenever it attacks, defending player sacrifices 2 permanents. So again, Thrun, just with this on it, is going to be what on your turn? A 15/15 Annihilator 2, trampling, indestructible, hexproof from everything but green, essentially. Monster. 2-shot KO. Your opponents are going to be in big trouble, and even bigger trouble when you've got Unnatural Growth. At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. This happens on every single combat, not just your own on your turn. And again, just at a base level, Thrun is going to be a 10/10, essentially, with just this in play. And of course, the more and more pump effects that you have, and we talked about plenty of them here, on this episode, hey, yeah, that is going to just double up the effectiveness of each and every single one of those. I mean, just think about that in combination with Eldrazi Conscription. What, a 30/30 Thrun? Good luck to your opponents. And finally, yeah, with all this power, of course, you can really take advantage of a great card like Rich Card's Expertise. Basically, draw cards equally great as power among creatures you control. Then you can cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand for free. So yeah, again, drawing 30 cards in a turn, that sounds pretty nice. And also, casting a spell for free, that's just a nice little cherry on top. Next up, Commander's Plate. This one can really be impactful, again, especially an equipment build, focusing again on just equipment that, well, can pump your commander and also protect it. And this is a great way to do so. +3/+3 and protection from each color that's not in your commander color's identity. So kind of just even going a step further than that hexproof, basically saying, yeah, I mean, I have hexproof essentially from those colors, but now also those creatures aren't going to be able to block me. So good luck with that too. Silent Arbiter is another one to consider a good effect. No more than one creature can attack each combat. That's fine with us because we're only going to be attacking with Thrun anyways. No more than one creature can block each combat. Hey, again, Thrun has trample, so we are going to be able to get a lot of damage through with them. Only going to be able to block with just one creature on our massive Thrun. It also can protect us as well in combat as well, obviously, because our opponents can only swing at us with one creature, and they might want to do so with a lot more. Overall, though, a very interesting new take on Thrun, definitely taking some elements from the previous iteration of Thrun, but making changes for today. I mean, that indestructible on your turn can make a massive impact. And yeah, just, the different way of, going about hexproof that is kind of like hexproof, but not quite to hexproof, but still very, very impactful. Yeah, I can definitely see some Voltron players out there being very excited to build around this one. Again, the card list link is in the description for the cards I talked about in this episode, but please, please, please make sure you wait until this is actually confirmed to be an official spoiler.
And with that, today's episode is coming to a close. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.